Good evening and welcome to our September board meeting. If I can please ask everyone to stand if you are able. Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes accueillis sur les terres des Mississauga, des Anishinaabe, de la Confédération Haudenosaunee et du Wendat. Nous voulons également reconnaître la pérennité de la présence des Premières Nations, des Métis et des Inuits. Please join me now for the playing of O Canada. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was wonderful, but we probably don't need it twice tonight. Okay, thank you. So at this time, I would like to have, we will do approval of the agenda, but before I ask for a mover and a seconder, I would just ask the trustees' indulgence if we could amend the agenda, as we have some business arising from private session that will be in public, and I'd like to do that as the last item before we go at the end of this agenda, before we go back into private to finish the items that we didn't get through on the private agenda. Does that make sense to everybody? Have I explained it clearly? Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder to amend the agenda as discussed. Trustee McLean, Trustee Dawson, thank you. All those in favor, we'll do this by show of hands.
Aye.
Wonderful, thank you. Any opposed? Okay, not hearing any, that has carried. We will move on to celebrating board activities. Just one moment. So this evening, we are going to kick off our celebrations with Trustee Rajwani and Patel, who will start us off tonight by speaking about Islamic Heritage Month at the TDSB. Please go ahead, trustees.
Assalamu alaikum, Yali Madat, and good evening. Thank you for providing us with the honor of recognizing Islamic Heritage Month that is recognized at the Toronto District School Board throughout the month of October. The recognition follows the motion passed by the Board of Trustees on June 22, 2016. Not only is Islamic Heritage Month recognized at the TDSB during the month of October, it has been recognized across Canada since October 2007. Further, in November 2016, the Province of Ontario established the Islamic Heritage Month Act. Proclaiming a month to be Islamic Heritage Month in Ontario will provide all Ontarians, both today and in future generations, with the opportunity to reflect, celebrate, and learn about the rich, long-standing Islamic history in the province and the diverse roles and contributions of Muslim people in communities across Ontario. This new understanding will in turn help combat anti-Islamic sentiment. The theme of Islamic Heritage Month this year is Salam, Joy, Excellence, and Belonging. Salam means in Arabic, peace, and it is a shortened version of the Islamic greeting, peace be upon you. This year, the Islamic Heritage Month Committee would like staff, students, and community members that participate in activities throughout the month to say salam. With this in mind, all TDSB students were invited to submit an image to a poster contest, as we see on the screen tonight. The poster will be shared with all schools across the system and posted on the TDSB website. The winner this year is grade 6 student Samar from the Humber Summit Middle School. Congratulations. The Islamic Heritage Month Volunteering Planning Committee has been working hard on educational activities to mark Islamic heritage during the month of October. Let's highlight a few of them. Several workshops are being provided by the Aga Khan Museum Education Department for all grade levels. The workshops are an hour in length and will focus on the further learnings on Islamic heritage and customs. Now I'd like to pass it on to Trustee Patel.
Thank you, Trustee Rajwani, and good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum means peace be with you all. It's an honor and privilege to recognize and celebrate Islamic Heritage Month. Islamic Heritage Month is not just about acknowledging the past, it's about celebrating the living traditions, contributions, and vibrancy of Muslim cultures in our society today. It's a time to break down stereotypes and build bridges of understanding. It's about creating a school environment where all students, regardless of their background, feel valued and appreciated. Islamic Heritage Month is an occasion to promote unity, respect, and cultural appreciation in our diverse and interconnected world. Let us use this month to deepen our understanding, engage in meaningful dialogue, and foster a spirit of harmony and cooperation among all communities. Together, we can build a brighter future based on mutual respect and shared values. Celebration of Islamic Heritage Month in our school board should include a commitment to education. We should ensure that our students learn about the history, culture, and contributions of Muslim civilizations. We at the board should provide access to diverse library resources and hosting guest speakers who can offer unique insights into Islamic heritage. At TDSB, we are committed to creating a safe and inclusive environment where every student feels respected and welcomed, regardless of their cultural or religious background. We believe that understanding and appreciating different cultures, including Islam, not only enriches our students' educational experiences, but also prepares them to thrive in an increasingly interconnected, diverse world. We should encourage our students to actively engage in the celebration of Islamic Heritage Month. We should invite them to explore the rich traditions, arts, and histories of the Islamic world. We should encourage them to ask questions, engage in meaningful dialogues, and participate in cultural events and activities that promote intercultural understanding. Inclusivity, empathy, and respect for one another's differences are values that lie at the heart of our educational mission. By celebrating Islamic Heritage Month, we reinforce these values. Let's use this month as a springboard for ongoing dialogue and understanding. Let's recognize that by embracing diverse cultural and religious backgrounds of our students, we strengthen the fabric of our school community and prepare our students to be informed, compassionate, and responsible global citizens. On behalf of trustees, I would like to thank staff, the Islamic Heritage Month Committee for their time, effort, and dedication. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think we have more slides to go. Back to you, Trustee Rajwani.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, trustees. Now we will hear from trustees Hassan, Pei, and McLean to learn more about Somali Heritage Month at the TDSB.
Hi everyone, through the chair. Assalamu alaikum Damantin, Kuso Dawada. Welcome everyone and thank you for providing us with the honor of recognizing Somali Heritage Month, which is recognized at the Toronto District School Board throughout the month of October. This recognition follows the motion passed by the Board of Trustees on June 22nd, 2016. I am also proud to be here to recognize the accomplishments of Toronto's Somali community and all that we have achieved. The TDSB has been home to thousands of Somali students for more than 30 years, and I'm proud to be here to present Somali Heritage Month as the first Somali School Board trustee, and inshallah, there will be many more after me. I would also like to welcome Islamic Heritage Month, which takes place in the month of October, as the majority of Somali students identify as Muslim. It's important to share at this time that in October 2020, the Government of Ontario proclaimed Somali Heritage Week Act 2020, which takes place on June 25th through July 1st. As stated in this act, the province of Ontario recognizes the economic, political, social, and cultural achievements and contributions of Somali Canadians in all aspects of Ontario society. Like many refugees and immigrants who have made Ontario their home, Somali Canadians are proud to be part of diverse communities across the province. The theme for Somali Heritage Month continues to be educate, elevate, and excel. A poster with this theme is being shared across the system to all schools and sites. In keeping with the lens of the theme of educate, elevate, excel, the educational opportunities for our students were selected with intent. The Somali Heritage Month Volunteer Planning Committee members have been working on a variety of initiatives for our students to participate in. So let's share a few. I would now like to pass it over to Trustee Wei Dong Pei from Willowdale. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Trustee Liban Hassan, for being such a great leader at your Somali community. And also, I want to thank you for inviting me to the last year's year-end community together event, meeting such vibrant community, so many amazing people from Somali community. Also, I want to congratulate again, once more, for you to be the first Somali TDSB trustees in the history of TDSB. That was amazing. I'm so proud of you. And also it's a great honor for me to be on the Somali Heritage Month organized committee with you and the trustee, Dan McLean and Danny Cavalli, and the other people to organize so many wonderful events, which I'm going to list right now. A bookmark challenge has been organized for all grade 1 to 3 students to participate in. All students are asked to draw an image that they feel the best reflects this year's the same. Next slide, please. A creative writing challenge has been organized for all grade 4 to 12 students to participate in. All students are asked to submit a poem, essay, or short story that answers specific questions relating to the Somali heritage. We look forward to receiving the submission and reading the entries. Also, readings and workshops and other events are being planned. Stay tuned as more details become available. Information will be posted on our website and throughout the regular communication vehicles available to us. Daily codes are available to all educators to share at their school through daily announcements to mark Somali Heritage Month. This will also be shared through our Twitter account. Additional resources are available from our TDSB professional library for all educators to use. So please follow Somali Heritage Month on Twitter with us as well. Thank you. Now I want to pass on to Trustee Dan McLean.
Thank you, Trustee Pei. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all the members of the Somali Heritage Month Volunteer Planning Committee for their time and their efforts. The committee is happy to announce for the first time since 2019, the committee will again be hosting the Rising Stars event. The planning is ongoing. The details are being finalized, and we encourage everyone to look for additional information that will be announced later in October. We are hoping to have our event in an early December date. The Rising Stars event will feature student recognition, cultural presentations, and some tastes of Somali cuisine. So please keep your eyes out for some formal announcements later on in the month of October. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, trustees. And now I would ask that we turn our attention to memorials. If everyone could please rise. Thank you very much. You may be seated. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the September 2023 regular board meeting. I almost went back to 2003. I have no idea what I was thinking. Anyways, classes are in session, students and staff are settled into new school year, and we're noticing the familiar and subtle changes in the air. Though many days like today are warm and sunny, the leaves are beginning to change colors. We've said our goodbyes to summer, and we are welcoming fall and all that it brings. These markers signal change. And in the life of schools, it now really feels as though we are entrenched in a new school year. Full steam ahead with endless opportunities and so much sense of promise for our students. To begin tonight's meeting, I will once again provide a brief update on our advocacy work. Following our board meeting on August 30th, I wrote to the Ministry of Health as well as the Ministry of Education at the board's request pertaining to current issues and concerns facing our board and students. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the TDSB has prioritized the health and safety of our students and communities and staff, including procuring and installing over 16,000 HEPA units. On September 11th, 2023, Toronto Public Health alerted the board to the triple threat of respiratory viruses, COVID-19, respiratory syncytial virus, RSV as known, and influenza, which impact health, attendance, and well-being of our students and staff. In my letter, I urged the Minister of Education to update air quality standards, increase dedicated and predictable and sustainable funding to reduce illness spread, and support for public health promotion in schools. Improved air quality standards and funding would enhance learning environments and protect students and staff in the coming winter months. We know this is something that takes time, really takes years, and we really do need that sustainable and predictable funding and a commitment to that. I have also written to the Minister of Health urgently requesting increased support for student mental health and well-being in our schools, as well as across schools in all of Ontario. A recent report from the Toronto Board of Health highlights challenges such as mental health issues, physical inactivity, increased screen time, and overdue student immunizations and dental screenings following the COVID-19 pandemic. The report recommends that the City of Toronto's Board of Health advocate for increased provincial government support for student mental health care. The TDSB is particularly concerned about the backlog in mental health and psychoeducational assessments, which is negatively impacting students' academic, emotional, and social development. While we do, of course, appreciate the recent funding we have received, I stress that the demand for mental health and psychological assessments has surged during and following COVID-19, and more funding and resources are needed to fully address the crisis. In the spirit of transparency, I wanted to provide a brief summary during our public meeting tonight. I want the public to also be aware that these advocacy letters and all others that we write are posted on our public website on the front page if you scroll down towards the bottom under the section Advocacy Letters. I encourage everyone to review our recent advocacy work online. As always, I will keep you apprised of any further updates as we continue advocating for additional funding and supports for our students, as we still await replies. And last, but certainly not least, September 30th is National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. We know that schools across the district will take the time to observe and recognize the legacy of Canada's residential school system and continue to learn the many truths of these institutions. As part of our initiatives to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation at the Board, the Urban Indigenous Education Centre and the Leadership Development, Employee Engagement and Continuous Improvement Team, in partnership with Real Canada, are inviting trustees to the screening of the 2021 film Night Raiders, directed by Cree Métis film director and screenwriter Danis Goulet. Please remember to register for this event. I plan to be there, and I hope to see many of you as well. We will now move on with this evening's agenda. Thank you. Next up, we have reports from trustees appointed to external organizations and student trustees. So we will begin first with Trustee Dawson, who I believe has an update on the CNE. Trustee Dawson? No report. Okay, I think I must have been misinformed. So without any further ado, we will move on. And I know we do have a very fulsome report from our student trustees. So I will turn it over. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for lending some of your time and attention to ourselves as student trustees. Now, to start off, we have a group update. So Trustee Zhao, as you might see, is not joining us this evening, and this is due to Trustee Zhao being ill over the last couple of months, and he would like to extend his warm wishes and overall goodwill to his co-trustees and all of you sitting here today.
Next is the educator leadership events. Trustees Bell, Secord, had the privilege of attending the school administrators leadership events where they served as masters of ceremonies, and this opportunity allowed them to connect with various TDC members, educators, administrators, and principals, providing them a warm welcome to the new school year, as well as their engagement with the key stakeholders of the educational community with facilitated direct communication between trustees and the schools they represent. Third, our business and operations of leadership events. As well as our educator leadership events, me, Angelica Bell, and Ozawa Secord also attended the business and operations managers leadership events as the MCs. This engagement enabled them to recognize and welcome the TDSB administrators to an initiative new year to the realm of the business operations, fostering connections from various TDSB employees. Now we are going to go to individual updates. Public Board Council for Ostaeco. In August, Trustee Zhao was appointed as the Golden Horseshoe Regional Representative of the Public School Board Cabinet as Ostaeco. In this capacity, he represents and ensures effective communication. This capacity, he represents and ensures the effective communication among all public school student trustees in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. The newly appointed cabinet is actively working on drafting their integral internal report. which will provide insights into the current landscape of the public education in the province. The Public Boarding Council have valued stakeholders and partnerships. Student Council President and Vice President's information. Continuing the work started last year by Student Senate President Trustee Zhao, the effective Superintendent Jack Negro had begun the process of collecting the names and contacts of all presidents, vice presidents of every secondary school in the Council of TDSB. This with the hopes of further strengthening the student governance, student voice, and student advocacy between local school levels to the district school board level. We hope to the database of this information by the end of this month. Indigenous Student Trustee Council. The Indigenous Student Trustee C-Cord orchestrated meetings with very Indigenous student trustees in Ontario and all over Canada, during which we voted the vice chair of our Indigenous Students Council, and the council actively established roles participation in meetings, events pertaining to the Student Senate and Indigenous matters, with voting roles currently underway.
Thank you, Trustee Secord. Now, in terms of in the news, so Trustee Bell, myself, along with other student trustees from various provinces, from various parts of the province, were featured on CBC radio discussing student experiences in relation to returning to school. Trustee Bell emphasizes the value of immersive learning experiences within the educational environment, and this conversation was enriched by the participation of students from all ages, providing the diverse perspectives on Ontario's education system. Next was the Equity Collective. So myself attended the TDSB Equity Collective meeting earlier this month. This student group, to highlight, is comprised of 24 members from across the school board in terms of student representation, and is dedicated to addressing combating racism, hate, and discrimination within the school environment. Trustee Bell engaged with the collective discussion in their upcoming initiatives with a primary focus on the multi-year strategic plan. During the meeting, collective members highlighted 3 key aspects to further their attention. Pillar 1, transforming student learning. Students emphasized the importance of integrating financial literacy into the multi-year strategic plan. Pillar 2, additionally, also stemming from transforming student learning, students underscored the significance of enhancing the implementation of culturally and socially relevant curriculum into learning within the school environment. And then Pillar 5, building strong relationships and partnerships within the school communities. Students highlighted the need and stress to create more leadership opportunities for TDSB students in terms of extracurricular activities. A strategic approach, as discussed during this meeting, was to collaborate with external community stakeholders, such as student-led nonprofits, to expand student options for learnership development. The next part was Student Senate. So Trustee Bell actively participated in the TDSB's first Student Senate meeting this month. During the meeting, Trustee Bell provided a meeting report detailing what the student trustees are really doing on the board level to advocate for their fellow students. The meeting primarily included introductions to fellow Senate members and an overview of the procedures that the student members are meant to follow. Additionally, in terms of the ICON/KPMG High School Exploration Summit, myself played a central role in the ICON x KPMG High School Exploration Summit, for serving as the Masters of Ceremonies, event planner, moderator, and also speaker at the event. This speaking event in particular focused on BIPOC high school students, bringing together students from all across the GTA and surrounding school boards to KPMG's headquarters. The overall summit featured over 30 speakers from top companies, including Google, KPMG, Boston Consulting Group, Baskin, the Toronto Raptors, and more, representing various corporate settings such as banking, finance, law, consulting, venture capital, startup, sports, entertainment, and more. The event overall was very positive and had a primary goal of providing career exploration to opportunities for underrepresented youth within our school board and other ones in the GTA. Now we'll dive into educational development updates. So at the University of Toronto on human rights and experience of women in Iran, I attended a lecture. At this lecture, I had a Nobel Peace Prize lecturer, a former Iran judge, provide insights into the various topics, including women, life, liberty movement, and the current human rights laws in Iran. My main overall aim to attend this event was really to foster continuous learning with unique perspectives of the Iranian community and educators within the field. Next was the Elevate Festival. This week, Trustee Bell is currently attending the three-day Elevate Festival. The festival brings together motivated individuals in the fields of technology, education, and innovation to facilitate constant learning and mutual collaboration. Trustee Bell has the privilege of attending sessions featuring guest speakers such as Olivia Chow, the current mayor of Toronto, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, and Mitzi Hunter, the former Minister of Education and mayoral candidate. Now we'll dive into the student perspective to really speak about the major questions what students are really thinking about.
First, we have equity and LGBTQ+, plus the protest. Note Trustee Bell, Trustee Zhao, and Trustee Secord have reaffirmed their unwavering support in the rights of all students, regardless of chosen sexuality, gender, and orientation. All TDSB students have the right to a safe learning environment, and we extend our support as many of the students who are facing negativity following the recent protests. As your student trustees, we stand in solidarity with you. Equity with years since the murder of Marsha Amani and an Iranian woman for not wearing a hijab. What was that? Yeah.
And then our next one was also curriculum, the financial literacy aspect of the current curriculum and the implementation of the financial literacy education within the TDSB's multi-year strategic plan, which we highlighted previously. Now,
We also would like to make a reference in our unwavering support for all of those who choose to take further action and extend their learning for Orange Shirt Day or Reconciliation Day, known to many in the province. We understand that it's a day of mourning and a day of respect for many people who unfortunately lost their family members, their friends, and many ancestors. We like to say as student trustees, we hope you have a respectful day and take into consideration the different perspectives that make this city a whole.
and also please feel free to reach out if you have any inquiries or questions after a report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that fulsome report. Trustee King, I believe you have a question. Please go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. I'd like to start by thanking the student trustees for that excellent and very detailed report. You've certainly hit the ground running and are very active in your work, and that's wonderful to see. I really appreciate the affirming statement that you've shared, and I know that students and many families that are watching will appreciate that statement of solidarity as well, so thank you. Also, the sensitivity in which you've broached our observance of the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. My question is regarding your CBC segment. I'm just wondering if that's something that you can either point or provide to trustees so that we can have a listen as well. And that's it, through the chair.
Yeah, so through the chair, to address the question, of course, I'd be willing to share the link to the CBC news segment. It was an amazing opportunity to really represent both the TDSB students overall, but also students across the province. We were able to conversate with fellow student trustees and their overall moderator as well to really dive deep into what students are really thinking about, their nerves, their happiness, their enjoyment, their aspirations towards entering the new school year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee King. I was really wowed by that report, and I know you guys have been so busy. I do want to congratulate you. I can tell everybody in this room that you two make a great team, and that was on full display at the business meeting when you guys emceed that event with such finesse. So thank you for that. Moving on to item number 11 is the Director's Leadership Report. So over to you, Director Russell Rollins.
Thank you very much, through you, Chair. It's a pleasure to offer my leadership report, and once again, I'm disappointed that I have to follow student trustees with my report. So good evening, students, staff, community members, and the Board of Trustees. I hope you each had a positive start to the 23-24 school year at the Toronto District School Board. It's always wonderful welcoming back students and staff, watching the milestones of the new school year, which, while time marches on, seem very familiar. Finding out who your teacher is, seeing old friends and making new friends, exchanging stories from the summer, and of course, learning and trying new things. This evening, my leadership report will include a recognition of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a highlight of a program and partnership, Step to Construction, and finally, I will proudly offer a few special accolades to staff, students, and a school. So as I begin, this Saturday is the 3rd annual National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and the 10th anniversary of Orange Shirt Day. This day recognizes the ongoing historical and current impacts that the residential school system in Canada has on First Nations, Métis, and Inuit families and communities. The TDSB joins communities across this country in honoring the survivors of residential schools, their families, as well as remembering the children who did not survive. The loss of these precious ancestors is still deeply felt every day by First Nations, Métis, and Inuit families, and dare I say all of us as Canadians. This is an especially emotional day for Indigenous communities. The National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation has said reconciliation starts with education. The TDSB's Urban Indigenous Education Centre has made resources available to support critical and informative conversations and learning activities around this day for our classrooms. We are really grateful for their leadership and guidance under the direction of the elders and System Superintendent Tanya Senk. It is tremendous. Many of our schools will be holding dedicated assemblies and events, such as at Essex Junior and Senior Public School and Hawthorne 2 Bilingual Alternative Junior School, where students will participate in reading about Indigenous history, traditions, and identities, as well as learning Indigenous games, contributing to a memorial on the school grounds, and continuing to further their understanding of truth and reconciliation through media texts. Additionally, students will proudly wear orange shirts, much like we are today, and add ribbons to the school fence, symbolizing their respect and remembrance for survivors and the countless children who tragically lost their lives and were laid to rest in unmarked graves. Community members will also be invited to add their messages of support and contribute to a healing mural. These learnings are a small part or a small representation of what has been and will be occurring in our schools, not just this week, but all year long. For the first time, as mentioned by Chair Chernow-Slyn, there will also be a professional learning opportunity for trustees and our business and operations and central staff. That is the screening of Night Raiders. Opening remarks will be conducted by Elder Pauline Shirt, a member of TDSB's Elders Council, and who is also featured in the film. And after the film, there will be a question and answer session with El Maya Tailfeathers, one of the film's leads, and Superintendent Senk. It will be a magnificent learning opportunity. Importantly, the learning occurring in schools focuses not only on the history and trauma of residential schools, but also on the enduring presence, contributions, and resurgence of Indigenous people in Toronto and beyond. While the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is an opportunity to continue our commitment to reconciliation, our actions must extend throughout the year. I ask that all of us take this opportunity to consider how we both individually and collectively ensure we use education and respond to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada's 94 calls to action throughout the year, and serve in accordance with the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. It is fitting and significant that this evening the board will consider a report which identifies our capital priorities for the funding of new schools and rebuilding of older schools by the Ministry of Education. Kapapamachikwe, Wandering Spirit, has been identified by staff in this report before you this evening as our first priority for building of a new school, urban and Indigenous education center, and community gathering space, with the goal of creating a truly Indigenous community school. Now, secondly, on to steps to construction, specialized trades, an exploration program, and tool day. In my heart, I'm probably a carpenter, so this was particularly appealing to me. Our central co-op program called Step to Construction stands for Specialized Trades Exploration Program, and it allows grade 11 and 12 students to explore 3 to 7 of these trades over one semester, rather than just a single trade as is the norm. It is one example of the innovative programs offered in our schools. Students in STEP attend George Brown once a week for a dual credit, a college credit, and a high school credit in construction and health and safety, where they also earn a group of safety certificates to strengthen their job-ready skills and their resumes. This program allows students to spend a semester on a job site sampling several different skilled trades, from electrical carpentry to drywall, to sheet and metal work, plumbing, tile setting, bricklaying, cement finishing, and construction craft. As the students start the school year, they celebrated Tool Day. It's not what you think. 37 students who are part of the program this semester were thrilled to receive a set of brand new tools valued at over $400 per student, courtesy of a generous donation from DeWalt Stanley Tools and the Peter Gilgan Foundation. These tools will allow students to step onto construction job sites with the necessary resources to be successful. All of the tools come with a lifetime warranty. Through STEP, students gain practical experience, rotate and work with many skilled construction trade workers on site, develop technical skills that will help them find future employment, prepare for careers in trades, project management, as well as civil, mechanical, and structural engineering, and obtain industry resources and information. 90% of students completing this program are either hired directly or proceed into the OYAP Youth Apprenticeship Program. This program is aligned with the increased student interest in trades and apprenticeships as a first choice career to contribute to the community and to pursue their interests in entrepreneurship and build the life they want to live. Finally, it is my pleasure to offer a few commendations or accolades. I'll start with Noden. Noden Otten Joseph is a graduate from Kapapamachikwe Wandering Spirit. Noden was selected as one of the 2 national winners of the Your Voice is Power competition for his work on coding to make music. The Your Voice is Power competition is the one TDSB runs in partnership with Amazon Future Engineer. Noden was recently recognized in the House of Commons by MP Julie DeBrusen, as well as in the Senate by Senator Mary Lou McPhedran. He stated that his work represents the need for the voices of Black and Indigenous people to be listened to by those in positions of privilege and power. He says, as I crafted the elements of my song, I learned that in the act of responsibly interweaving Indigenous language into music, the music itself becomes a vehicle for activism and an intrinsic creator of equity. Next, every year, National Curiosity honors 3 outstanding educators across Canada for their exemplary practice in environmental inquiry through the Edward Burtniski Award for Teaching Excellence in Environmental Education. Congratulations to Ryan Anderson, a teacher at Spruce Court Public School, who won the grand prize this summer. Mr. Anderson and his students spend time every day making discoveries and finding joy in both local parks and the forest of the Don Valley. In addition to using stories and books by Indigenous authors and illustrators to guide lessons, Mr. Anderson uses an inquiry-based approach to improve students' understanding of their responsibilities and accountabilities as stewards of the land on which they live and learn. And lastly, on Monday, Weston CI hosted the RBC Financial Literacy Academy Pitch Assembly, which featured presentations from RBC executives who provided valuable insight into financial literacy for grade 12 students. Weston CI also welcomed back alumni Angel Sabalos. Angel graduated 4 years ago and now leads the program. Sorry about that. She once participated in. What a remarkable journey. Weston CI is the only school in Canada hosting the RBC Financial Literacy Academy, and this marks the school's 5th year of collaboration. Over 75 students are graduates from this program, with an impressive 15 securing internships through a competitive interview process. So thank you so much to RBC Academy and to the wonderful staff and students at Weston CI. Congratulations on your achievements. As I close, we are transforming student learning each and every day. These are just but a few examples that highlight the excellence in teaching and learning that occurs every day in our schools. This concludes my leadership report for this evening.
Thank you so much, Director Russell. So at this point in the meeting, I'd like to ask if there are any declarations of possible conflict of interest from trustees. Okay, and hearing none and seeing none, I will move on to item number 13. This is matters to be decided without discussion. This is the consent agenda. The items pulled off consent or that are not on the consent agenda are item number 15, 15.1, as well as 16.33 and 16.36.6. Okay, so that means that item number 16, item number 16.1 in its entirety, item number 16.2 in its entirety, and items number 16.3.1, 16.3.2, 16.3.4, 16.3.5, 16.3.7 are all on consent agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, to move the consent agenda? I saw Trustee McLean and Trustee Williams. Thank you. All those in favor, show of hands. Any opposed? Okay, and hearing and seeing none, we will move on. So up next, we have item number 14. Nope, that was on consent. So we move to item number 15.1. This is a letter from Trustee Malaika Gose requesting a leave of absence. I'm going to turn the floor over to Trustee Gose first.
Hello? Please read my letter.
This is your opportunity to say a few words, and then we'll go to staff for some information.
Okay, I'm writing to formally request a leave of absence for my position as a trustee. I'm running for the candidacy in the upcoming by-election for city council in my ward. So I believe that serving as a council would allow me to contribute more effectively to my community and address the concerns and aspirations of my residents. This opportunity aligns with my longstanding commitment to public service, and I'm excited about the chance to make a positive impact on the issues that matter most to my constituents. I understand the importance of my role at TDSB and will ensure that my duties and responsibilities are transitioned smoothly during my absence. I'm committed to providing ample notice and training or going to my colleagues to help me out in any way. So I hope you guys can consider this opportunity for me and accept my leave of absence.
Okay, thank you very much, Trustee Gauss. I wonder if I could just turn it over to staff to just provide us with anything trustees need to know about this request.
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair, it is at the board's discretion to obviously accept this leave. And I believe we are able to fulfill the requests within this leave request.
Okay, so the request has been for an unpaid leave of absence. And I'm wondering if we have any trustees who might be willing to move this request. I have Trustee Arts and...
I can second it.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Patel, I heard you, but unfortunately Trustee Hastings got there first. Sounds like there's some support. So we have a mover and a seconder. Will we be doing this on eScribe or? Yes, okay. Does anybody wish to speak to this, or is this straightforward? I would look to the mover and the seconder. First.
Trustee Nunziata would like to make a comment.
Okay, just one moment. Okay, are you good? Okay, so we have Trustee Nunziata on the speaker list, and please go ahead, Trustee Nunziata.
Through the chair, I just want to congratulate Trustee Gauss on her decision to run for City Council, and just express my appreciation for asking for an unpaid leave of absence. I think it's very respectful to the role. And I'd like to wish her all the best on the campaign trail. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Nunziata. Okay, and anyone else? Oh, Trustee Hastings, please go ahead.
I too would like to congratulate you on moving forward on such an endeavor. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, and seeing no other questions, we will open this on eScribe.
Nunziata is in favor.
Do I vote too? No.
I don't think, I don't know. Let me check on that, 1 second. Sure.
Shan in favor.
Chernis Lynn in favor.
Patel in favor.
Logical saying I'm in favor.
Trustee Patel and Trustee Nunziata, how do you vote?
Trustee Patel in favor.
Thank you. Okay, and that has carried unanimously. Moving on to item number 16.33. This is the Provincial Capital Priorities Program for 2023-2024. I'd like to turn it over to the director who will introduce this item.
Thank you very much. We're pleased to present this report this evening. I would ask System Planning Officer Andrew Gowdy to review this report.
Thank you, Director. Good evening, trustees, staff, and members of the public. Through the chair, the purpose of this report is to present to you for your approval the list of capital priority projects for us to submit to the ministry as part of the ministry's capital priorities program for 23-24. As you know, the Capital Priorities Program is the ministry's process for providing funds to school boards to build new pupil places, such as additions, replacement schools, and new schools. The process involves school boards submitting business cases to the ministry for their review and funding consideration. The ministry announced the latest round of the Capital Priorities Program in the middle of August. School boards must submit their business cases to the ministry by October 20th of this year. As part of the provincial government's efforts to build infrastructure faster, the ministry has made several changes to the Capital Priorities Program. School boards are asked to divide their proposed capital projects into two streams. The first stream is projects that are shovel-ready, meaning at a stage in development where construction can begin in a timely manner. These projects require detailed business cases with schedules, deliverables, costs estimated by a third-party consultant, and schematic designs. The schematic designs should be standardized, either coming from a design catalog that the ministry has created or be a repeat design of a project previously completed by a school board. These shovel-ready projects will be considered for funding in this round of the Capital Priorities Program. The second stream is projects that address future long-term growth needs that are not shovel-ready at this time. School boards don't need to provide detailed business cases for these projects, just high-level summary information. The ministry will use these projects to assess future demand for capital funding. These projects will not be considered for funding through this round of the Capital Priorities Program. Our list of projects comes from the most recent version of the Long-Term Program Accommodation Strategy, the LTPS, that was approved by the board in October of last year, 2022. There are 23 projects in the LTPS. We have divided them into Stream 1, the shovel-ready projects, and Stream 2, the long-term growth needs projects. There are 5 projects that we will submit as Stream 1, and there are 18 projects that we will submit as Stream 2. The ministry requires that the Stream 1 shovel-ready projects be ranked. We've ranked the 5 projects using an equity lens that considers our commitment to truth and reconciliation first and the learning opportunities index second. The ranking also considers timeline for initiating the project. There is a description of each of these 5 projects in the report. The Stream 2 long-term growth needs projects don't need to be ranked. The 18 projects are listed in the report in alphabetical order by project name. The report contains a brief high-level summary of each project. It's important to note that not all of the projects submitted to the ministry will receive funding approval. The ministry has a fixed capital budget that they allocate to school boards based on their assessment of where the greatest accommodation pressures lie across the province. Historically, we in the TDSB have received approval for anywhere from 1 to 6 projects in a round of the Capital Priorities Program. In terms of timelines, we'll submit the business cases to the ministry on October 20th. We'll provide the business cases to the trustees at that time for information. We'll also post the business cases on the TDSB public website. The ministry has indicated that they will make their funding announcements in winter of 2024. This concludes our presentation. We'd be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so thank you very much, Mr. Gowdy, for that terrific.
Question online.
Oh, one just popped up before you go.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Trustee, please go ahead.
Thank you, and I apologize. It's more of a comment. I wanted to thank staff for this and just note for Truth and Reconciliation Week, just how special it is to see number 1 Kapapa Machakwe School. And so thank you very much for this very important recommendation as part of this week in particular. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Earhart. Okay, so I will now ask that we open this item on eScribe. This is for receipt. Oh, I'm sorry, it's for approval. My apologies. Is it open?
Be in favor.
Oh, mover and sorry, I'm not thinking. Can I have a mover and a seconder for this report? Thank you, Trustee Dawson.
Nunziata.
Trustee Williams.
Trustee Ayar.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Dawson and Trustee Nunziata. We'll do one from each. All those in favor? It is
in favor, Madam Chair.
It is
Madam
going to
Trustee
be
Nunziata is in favor.
Okay, the vote is open. So we have, I think that was Trustee Nunziata who's in favor.
Patel in favor.
Shan in favor.
Chernis Lynn in favor.
Pay in favor.
No, I know, but in favor.
Madam Chair, Lee also voted in favor, just to make sure.
Trustee Earhart also voted in favor.
Logical Singham in favor.
Trustee Gose is in favor. Trustee Hastings, how do you vote? I don't know what that is. I'm unclear what that is. That's a thumbs up. Okay, we have a thumbs up from Trustee Hastings.
Madam Chair, Trustee Lee voted in favor. It shows us up as absent.
Okay, we will fix that in the record. Trustee Lee voted in favor. If we could have that corrected. Thank you. And that has carried. Next up, we have item 16.3.6. This is a motion on student nutrition. If we could just pull that up on the screen. Okay. And I will turn this over to the movers of this item. And I believe this was Trustees Srishkandaraja and Rajagula Singham. Would you like to speak to this evening?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, as was mentioned in our PPC meeting, and for those of you who didn't get a chance to tune in, this motion on student nutrition comes in light of, which is no surprise, to the recent rising cost in food, which is leading to greater food insecurity and more students coming to school hungry. In fact, there was a Toronto Star article recently mentioning that 30% of students across Canada are food insecure. Canada is also the only G7 country without a national school food program. And research shows that students have higher academic achievement when they have access to consistent, nutritious food. And whereas lack of access to this food can lead to issues in terms of their academic achievement, but also to behavioral issues, which we see in sort of increased irritability or inability to focus, and also the inability to access food, or especially nutritious food, encourages, or the lack of it does not encourage eating healthy. And so this is where, of course, schools play a very important role in being able to sort of encourage young people to eat well. And so this is also in light, it would fund a national student nutrition program, which has not come to fruition, and we still are in hopes that this will be an election promise that they keep. Currently, we do have student nutrition programs. So for some, this might be a surprise, but the reality is it's very much piecemeal and not system-wide. So some schools have them, some schools not, and it's very dependent on kind of the ad hoc funding that we get. So this motion that's before us is essentially asking the director to present a report to us by January 2024, asking for a few things, including providing us a status of the nutrition funding and programs in elementary and secondary schools, including the sources of funding, a brief needs assessment that draws on sort of the current literature on the role of nutrition, and thirdly, a strategy or proposal to increase students' access to nutritional foods and possible strategic partnerships, which includes City of Toronto. And then, of course, we had our committee meeting, a motion or amendment moved by Trustee Earhart that the board also endorsed the Coalition for Healthy Foods recommendations for the 2024 federal budget, which also includes funding recommendations for existing and expanding school food programs. So we're very grateful for that, and I encourage everybody to take a look at their sort of comprehensive report. So this is, by no means the sort of the end. We view this very much as the beginning to really figuring out a way to make sure we have a national school food program. When I talk to some people, the initial reaction is, well, this sounds very, very expensive. But I think we really need to wrap our heads around the reality that every other G7 country already does this. And there's countries who are not. I could be wrong, but I think Guatemala has a national school food program. So it's clearly a question of political will as opposed to any financial implications. And we also look forward, this will of course inevitably bring about a lot of conversations. So again, this is a beginning point. We look forward to the conversations of how we're going to fund this and the funding sources and what we can do internally to help support these programs above what we're already, of course, doing. So thank you. And Trustee Roger.
Trustee Rajagula-Singham, do you wish to make remarks at this point?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair. Through the chair, I think Trustee Sriskandarajah eloquently explained the importance of this motion and the intention of this motion. And I think this is something that I know we can all get behind because we all understand the importance of addressing food insecurity in our communities. And I think across the board, there are many communities that are impacted by this, especially after the pandemic, where we've seen many of these inequities amplified, and we're seeing high levels of unemployment. We're seeing families with precarious housing and immigration status. The list goes on. And I know that there's a lot of initiatives at the local level. And I think through this motion, we're hoping to see what we can do as a board, what important data we can collect, and really address this, and really get a sense of, what different needs are out there. And I think through this work, we can really increase students' sense of belonging at school, their engagement, but also that level of trust. So I'm looking forward to see how this work is going to unfold. And I want to thank Trustee Sriskandarajah for bringing forward this really important motion. Thank you.
Thank you to the movers. And I'm just not seeing any, I see now a question from Trustee McLean. Please go ahead, Trustee McLean.
Thank the movers and the mover and the seconder for the motion and the initiative. And I very much look forward to the report that's produced, and we'll use it when meeting with my MP in my ward to be able to continue to advocate for the area of food insecurity and for meal plans throughout the country. So thank you very much for your efforts.
Okay, I'm not seeing any further questions. So at this time, we will open the vote on this, and it's just opening on eScribe.
Trustee Patel in favor.
Thank you, Trustee Patel. Sharna Smith is also in favor.
Shan in favor.
Nunziata in favor.
Pay in favor.
Trustee Earhart in enthusiastic favor.
Trustee Lee, how do you vote?
Madam Chair, I voted in favor.
Okay, thank you. And that has carried unanimously. Thank you for that. And up next, we are going to go to business arising that comes out of our private session earlier. And I'd like to pass the chair over to Vice Chair Shan.
So we now have a motion being put forward by Chair Chernaslin and seconded by Trustee Patel. So would we have the motion on the screen or? Okay, Trustee Chernaslin, would you like to speak on the motion?
Thank you very much, Chair. This motion is with respect to childcare. As many of you will know, to the public listening, there have been many childcare projects that have been announced over the years, and it is taking us a very long time to get those moving. The challenges in moving forward with these in a timely manner has really exacerbated the inequities in childcare across the city, and I think it's really important that we provide, that we get a really strong sense of the impact that that's having, what the status of childcare is across the city, how it changes depending on the area of the city. I have a feeling we have significant inequities across our system. And we do know that the delays in getting the ability to proceed with the building of childcares that have been committed by the province has led to real challenges, especially exacerbated by the COVID pandemic and the rise of inflation and the challenges of doing construction and building work over the last couple of years. And when it takes a really long time to get approvals, what often happens is that the costing that was once established is no longer valid and everything costs more. So the province has, spoken at length about the desire to remove red tape so that things are built faster. We hope this is the case with childcares as well, but an important part of the advocacy work that we need to do on this, I hope will be accomplished through this motion. So with that in mind, the first part of this motion is that the director present a report by the end of November 2023 on the status of childcare services across the TDSB, including an update on the 17 new childcare centres that were announced by the province back in 2017. Secondly, that the director work with the city's Children's Services Department to identify inequities of access across the board, such as in underserved areas such as Scarborough and the northwest of the city, that trustees on this board have spoken so eloquently and so strongly about. I also believe that this needs to include, and this motion includes this, a scan or a map of the childcare services across the city and the TDSB, and that would be based on our own data as well as data from the city. That the chair write this letter, it would go to the Minister of Education, MPPs, the Mayor of Toronto, and City Councillors. That's important because childcare is jointly funded by the municipality and the province. Finally, that the letter at Part C explain, that there be, let me go back just to make it clear. So the first part is this report on the status of childcare. The second part, which is Part C, is that that the chair write to the Minister of Education, MPPs, the Mayor of Toronto, and City Councillors. As I said, this is joint funded, so it's important that we include all of them, and that letter First, explain the concerns surrounding the inequities of childcare services across different areas of the City of Toronto, and particularly in underserved areas that I've spoken about this evening. And also that it expressed the board's commitment to improving equity of access in childcare across our city, particularly in these underserved areas such as Scarborough and the Northwest, and that it outlined our concerns around the delays in ministry approvals on the 17 childcare projects that lead to increased costs and ministry benchmarks that do not meet the funding allocated by the province. It's really important to underline the fact that the TDSB historically has always supported a seamless day model and provided accommodation and support for childcare to be co-located within schools. And with all of that said, this is the responsibility, the funding of this is the responsibility of the city and the province. So we really need to move to work forward and to be able to move forward in these projects, but we need the province and the city to work together and to come to the table to help us with this. So I really hope that the board will support this. I think it's really an important piece of our advocacy. And I just would like to thank Trustee Patel, the other trustees of the board, but also particularly Trustee Patel, because we had some really great conversations that prompted this motion, as well as, I would say, a lot of reflection on my part with discussions that I've had with trustees all over this board. So thank you, and I really hope that you will all support this.
So we'll start with Trustee Dividis. Question. But Trustee Patel, do you want to speak on this as well before we go to questions?
No, thank you, Chair. I think Chair Naslin has covered very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I rise in support of the motion. I think that thinking through time and what that means on the lives of the people that didn't get to enjoy these spaces is beyond frustrating for all of us here at the school board. There are children now in middle school that may have enjoyed some of the services in some of these spaces, and maybe in high school or beyond, if we do not work collaboratively together with other levels of government to be able to build these spaces, and it's an entire generation of children, and it's a shame that we haven't been able to resolve the situation, particularly because, as the motion points out, the areas of the city that have the highest need are the ones that are being blocked from moving forward through this impasse that we have. So I think it's very important that we communicate to other levels of government. I'm very happy to see that we're going to be sending letters to our members of provincial parliament as well as city councillors, because we need to engage them in a conversation about what happens. This is something that I think a lot of people aren't aware of, and it's our job to go out there and make noise and hope and work in order so that, soon we'll start to be able to build some of these childcare spaces throughout the city. So thank you, and I'm very much in support of this.
Thank you. I have Trustee Sri Skandaraja next, and I have my name after that, so I'll pass it to Trustee Arts maybe at that time, but Trustee Sri Skandaraja, you can go next.
Thank you. So I have a question for staff. I would like to, through the chair, where it says the board has supported a seamless day model and provided accommodation support for childcare to be co-located within schools. I would love to hear from staff, what are some of the things that the TDSB does currently do to support this claim?
Thank you very much. Through the chair, I will begin and then welcome my colleagues to add. To the Toronto District School Board was one of the first boards, if not the first, to have a child care center located within a school that was at the time staffed by TDSB staff. We have more per capita childcare centers located in schools or attached to schools than other district school boards. That may have changed over the last 4 years based on the number of new schools built along with childcare centers, but as of 3 or 4 years ago, TDSB had the highest number. As you know, the Toronto District School Board has an agreement with the City of Toronto to support the lease of childcare space within schools. The Toronto District School Board has an actual department and has had one, I believe, since amalgamation to support the relationship between child care centers, the City of Toronto's Children's Services, families, and our schools. Many of our policies, such as enrollment in the local school, I'm missing the title of the policy at this time, we have allowed students who have been registered in a childcare to move directly into the school in which they were registered as a student, as a child in preschool programs. We continue to work collaboratively with the City of Toronto to support all of the childcare centers having subsidies within our schools and working with them to align programs between kindergarten and preschool programs so that there's a seamless transition with children's learning. We have partnered with our designated early childhood educators between childcare and our kindergarten classrooms. I will stop there and happily could go on if you would like.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, I appreciate that. Director, I know this is your area of expertise, so we're very fortunate to have that. And I asked the question because I think we as a board do a lot for childcare, and I think there's still scope for us to continue to do the work because we of course know that it's nowhere near perfect. And my last comment to the letter is, I very much appreciate the letter's emphasis on the underserved parts of the city, highlighting Scarborough and the Northwest. And I just implore all my colleagues to keep the same energy when it comes to motions that are or recommendations that are beyond letters. I think I hear the passion here, and I hope this passion is consistent when we have other conversations that move beyond letters. That's something I feel I would very much appreciate to see, and I don't think we're there yet. So I think it's a good step in that regard, right? I think I appreciate when we're asking for money from other levels of government, but I think we also need to turn the lens on ourselves as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sriskandarajah. Can I pass the chair to Trustee Arts? Through you, Madam Chair, I just think that I'm fully supportive of this motion because it does highlight the fact that we need to be consistently aware of where the needs are and be driven by data, driven by information. And I also like that we went through a process to identify these 17 places where this is needed, and it's important for us to continue to support that commitment to these locations that are needing this service. Obviously, 6 years have passed, and it's a lost opportunity in some ways, but nevertheless, this is actually a good motion to reaffirm our commitment to building at these sites. My only question, or maybe through you, Madam Chair, to staff or maybe to the mover as well, when we are looking at data around locations of childcare services, that provides one picture. Just the map of services alone does not tell the whole story. In fact, we look at how childcare services are obtained in certain affluent areas. There might be increased support from live-in caregivers in certain neighborhoods as opposed to childcare services. There might be areas that have a higher number of not-for-profit sector operating childcare, particularly south of Bloor. We know that there's a lot more not-for-profit childcare options as opposed to in certain areas. So just the City of Toronto and TDSB can give you a certain picture, but I think the socioeconomics, just the fact that people have to travel 2 hours to and from jobs in areas where I live in Northeast Scarborough, the transportation and availability and the need for childcare services being a lot more pronounced. So I know it's November and the deadline is pretty soon, but it'll be helpful if the team brings back a little bit more comprehensive than just a site map. The site maps could tell us something, but if it can be overlaid by some of the existing data around socioeconomics, existing data around not-for-profit sector and other funded licensed childcare options, that will provide a little bit more nuanced picture of where the need is. So I don't know if this is a question, just maybe a comment to include, if possible, in the report that comes back, knowing that this needs more work. But I do think that when we want to make decisions and we ask for information, it's better to have a full picture rather than make it based on something that is half informative. Thank you.
You're gonna have the chair back.
Thank you. I have Trustee Erhard next.
Thanks very much. 2017, I can't help but to think that I had a 2-year-old child and was on a school, a wait list for a school-based not-for-profit childcare center, and we aged off the list. We never did make it. So I am very much in support of this motion, and I did want to say that just having a center, in my view, is not enough. That when it comes to childcare, it's my belief that we have to have enough spaces for every child that needs it. And so I see this, I think we have to do so much in this area. And so I'm really grateful to see this happening. And I wanted to speak just quickly to the importance of public and non-for-profit childcare in the childcare sphere, and why it's so important that we've been specific in underserved areas, and that as a school board, that we house childcare and that we house public or not-for-profit childcare. We're in an affordability crisis, and the availability of these spaces are just so important for the families that need them. Just having private for-profit childcare is not enough in the childcare landscape. And so I continue to think it's very sad that we've gone this long, and it's such a missed opportunities for the areas that are waiting for these centers. I also wanted to speak to how directly I think, speaking as a parent, how directly I see this tying to student success and well-being. It's been my observation, and I can ask staff who I'm sure know far more about this than me, just what the experience is. Perhaps it could come in the report, just that children who participate in these childcare centers have better transitions into school that overall promotes their success and well-being. And so I just think it's such an important part of what we can do for children in the poverty capital of Canada. And so I'm just so grateful for this motion. Thanks very much to the movers and for making this happen. Take care.
Thank you, Trustee Erhard. Next is Trustee Roger Kulasinger.
Thank you, the chair. I want to thank colleagues for their solidarity to Scarborough, especially seeing Scarborough written this way into the motion. And I'm reflecting on the past 5 years and the many times, Scarborough trustees have advocated for Scarborough. I remember when we first got here, when it came to reports and asking for demographic data or even maps to show how resources were allocated. Sometimes that was met with resistance, but now when we get reports, staff has always been so open with showing that information. But I also remember a time when Scarborough trustees would advocate, sometimes we were met with, people rolling their eyes, colleagues saying, oh, now Scarborough wants in. So truly to see that solidarity, I'm happy. But I just want to reiterate that while advocacy letters are incredibly important, they do raise awareness. We also need to make sure that when it comes to conversations around resources, especially funding, we need to see the same type of fire. You know, our equity commitments, our commitments to anti-oppression, those commitments only work when we have the funding and those resources allocated to support those efforts. So I hope we continue to see the same fire when it comes to conversations around funding, allocation, even redistribution. So I will be supporting this motion and looking forward to future conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rajakulasingam. Anyone else on the list to speak? I don't see any here, not online. So I'll pass it. Oh, I won't pass the chair back because it's still on the motion. So we have a mover and a seconder. If no other questions or comments, we'll get to vote on eScribe. Shan in favor.
Chernis Lynn in favor.
Pay in favor.
Through the chair, Trustee Nunziata is in favor.
Trustee Hayes.
I'm in favor.
Trustee Patel is in favor. Trustee Patel in favor. Trustee Lee.
Mr. Chair, Lee voted in favor.
Thank you. Right, that carries unanimously. So I'll pass the chair back to Chair Chernis Lynn.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to move us back into private so that we can finish the discussions that were started earlier today. I see Trustee Williams and Trustee Hastings. All those in favor, show of hands. Or say aye. And any opposed, please let us know. Okay, not hearing or seeing any negatives, we will move forward and move into private. If you could just give us a moment, I would just ask the director who gets to go home. We'll take a recess, and actually we're going to we will take a recess for 5 minutes or so. And if the director, before we do, could just let staff know which staff are to remain and which could. Yes, but